Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook this evening. We have a very special treat for you. I'm really excited for it. So we get to see a couple of poets that I have never been able to see perform before. So I'm very excited to hear them. We're also going to have a discussion towards the end. So tonight for our Poetry by the Cornish Sea, we have a lineup of good evening, amazing poets that we're very excited for. So I'm Sam. I will be hosting this evening, so pointing you back and forth. We will then move over to Laura Kestrel, who is coming to perform for us today, which we're very excited for. And then we have Kerry Vincent and our headliner for the evening, Tara Montaigne. So we're going to go through a quick performance of those, and then towards the end we'll be having a discussion on the poetry scene in Cornwall, and just, seeing how that works. Yeah, lovely to have you all. Very exciting. Have a great one, everyone. So we will first start off with the amazing Laura Kestrel. Too many hand gestures.
Hey Sam, thank you for having me. Thank you to WinchesterFest. I'm going to read 4 poems, one about Cornwall and then some new ones. So this is It Rains More Than the National Average from my first book. It rains more than the national average. Every winter a barrage on the senses, storms breaking walls, a carnival of chaos and clouds. Waves roaring loud over cars, using the main road, which naturally runs right next to the sea. But then the summer arrives, everything comes alive, dusted in the sun's rays. The tired farmers leave their fields, their armour a cider or 10. There's always a rally or festival day again, an excuse to drink underage. Makes a difference from the park or houses sparking up, in the garden and on the beach, meeting people you didn't realise you already kind of knew. The local pub, always the same, the hub for after-work activity. Don't blame the young for wanting change. The barmaid knows you, your mum, your auntie and cousins. They say everyone has 7 degrees of separation. Definitely an exaggeration here. The distance is more like 2. Shop floor gossip and skate park chat about somebody new. They came to the village from London. They don't know how we do things here. Slow go the many chapters. You chose the wrong time to shop. It's car boot day. Our first local pork burger of the year and Rattler on tap. They say as soon as you leave your mother's breast, you're weaned onto the stuff. Whether it's Galawan or in the towns, you can never get enough. Fields were for ploughing in every which way available, always able to meet a young filly. She's from Young Farmers up Elston, a little far from home, but she's borrowed her mum's car. Don't you worry though, she's not planning on crossing the Tamar. There's a charity barn dance next week. There's every chance it's where your parents had their first meeting. Every family member follows the same routine, same school, same town, often same final scene. It's rarer to have left, feeling nearer to your university town that the gap grows ever further. Though you'll fall back into home life with ease, but please, by now, you know the drill. Cornwall's always steady, always still, nothing much changes, at least not quickly, not like the East who butchered the pasty. Now, I don't want to get nasty. The pasties are okay, but there's nothing like your grandmother's homemade recipe passed down from an ancient great-great-auntie. Cornwall, you raised me. I sat on your hills when I was young, the sun hitting my face, a bike ride, tractor ride, horses and sea with plenty of space to think and roam free. Now, I'm not saying it was easy sailing. A reigning miracle in my town is that anyone leaves at all. GCSEs weren't something everyone had. At 15, sons left school to work with their dads on the farm. No harm in that, but armed with no choice. My grandmother once told me, you get your degree. I moved 8 miles my whole life, married with a child before 20. Plenty of people do it and that's fine, but that never was a plan of mine. Mines they've closed, fishing, gasping for breath, it still struggles, but don't worry. There's jobs and care work to pay the bills. Gone are pirates who smuggle. Fire it. The local Boxing Day shoot. Tradition is what we have here. We have our myths, we have our slang. No other language sounds as warm as when my local dialect washes around my form. I'm no longer just a Cornish bird. I'm a mix of Penzance, Manfredonia and Canterbury, but Cornwall is what raised me. I'll always remember the place I called home for so long, no matter where I go after. Laughter fills my fondest memories of living so close to nature's hand, the land teaching me to forage. Norwich, Portsmouth and Leeds are interesting too, but nothing will stay with me as much as you. the deep West Country, the jam, then the cream. Time stands still there as if a dream. I was lucky to grow up there. From Tintagel to Pen Air, it's our own little world, no matter how far we are apart. I'll always be a Cornish pixie at heart. Better that, in fact, my home county, Cornwall. Thank you for raising me.
Sorry, have the moment where you unmute the mic.
I have two more poems that I'm going to read before I do my final one. So these two are short, and I've been writing a poem a day for National Poetry Month, for April. And this is from the 3rd of April, and my prompt was Heartbeats. I thought of that song, Heartbeats, you know, the one by Jose Gonzalez. I remember that summer when that song was played everywhere, and you could recognize the opening guitar chords almost instantly. I remember that summer, you know, the one just before college started. All the others went to a local festival, you know, the one in the park with local bands and the plastic cups of cider, the one we had unknowingly both been attending for years. I remember this summer. You were home alone, and we spent the evening entwined in an armchair, quoting 90s cult films and talking with popcorn-infused breath about who we had been and who we are still going to be. I heard that song Heartbeats the other day, you know, the one by Jose Gonzalez, and I realized a decade had passed since that moment. But I still remember how the creases in your cheeks curl when you smile. I still remember the softness of your skin when you stroked my sides, as though it were yesterday. Heartbeats playing in the background, a coming-of-age soundtrack, lying by your side and feeling our own heartbeats in unison. So I gave myself the rule of I wasn't allowed to spend more than 20 minutes writing something. So if they sound terrible and I'm kind of doing this with the book, that's why. So this is from day 13, and the prompt was freedom. Rattlesnake nibs, ink blotches on cardigan pockets, spelling out essays along its seams, sleeves fraying, trails of threads gathering, circling wrists, songbirds, thrushes with yellow bellies and speckled foreheads, each vertebra a hedgerow blossom, coastal paths that went on for miles nestled in between salt-encrusted cliffsides and beaks of gorse flowers, sand below, diamond crumbs decorating scalps and in between toes, and panty lines covered in streaks of sun cream, silken blouses doused in nostalgia and opportunity, crystals of ice on tongues, balconies, and rusted garden furniture, and leftover lasagna on the 3rd shelf of the fridge.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my last poem for the evening is Delicate, and this is in my new collection, Turnstiles and Turnaround Smiles, published by Whisky Beards. And yeah, here we go. You're delicate, much too delicate for my sandpaper tongue and wooden underpinnings. I breathe your scent in like your aftershave is oxygen, except I know when it's there. You get all in my hair, and not in the derogatory sense, rather the sense of your touch on my face, on my neck, on my hips, and your lips. Man, those lips. I could write a whole ode to the dimples on your cheek, or how the light bounces across your Cupid's bow, or how I could search through endless catalogues of colour palettes and I still couldn't find a hue that fully represented the entirety of you. You're delicate, much too delicate for my cactus edges and callous conclaves. I absorb the shadows cast by your face like I recognize your darkness and can soothe it back to light. The same light which dances on your face, on your neck, on your hips. And you are sandpaper too, softening the wood splinters, splintering the guarded gate, rediscovering long buried sea silver, almost forgotten back to the surface. If X marks the spot, then you own the whole alphabet, like you're in my typewriter as well as my thoughts. You are both the muse and the artist, and I could say all this and more, but I don't, because you're delicate, much too delicate, and so am I. Thank you. I've been Laura Kestrel. Thank you for having me, WinchesterFest.
Connor, can you shoot it back to me there? Oh, perfect. Don't even have to ask. Look at that. He's our magic man. Thank you very much, Laura. That was wonderful. Now, not only is Laura just an incredible poet, but they are also the newest member of WinchesterFest and have been an incredible help, including pretty much single-handedly organising this event. So a massive thank you to Laura. You've been a hero. Much appreciated. So next up, we have someone who I haven't had the opportunity to see before and am very, very excited to hear. We have the lovely Kerry Vincent. Kerry, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, hello. I'm Kerry Vincent. I've written poetry since a child. I'm now a mum to 9 children. A couple of them are adults now. So I write in the evenings to unwind, and joined Sprout Spoken a year ago.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's a real pleasure to have you with us tonight. So thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your poetry.
Thank you. I'm going to stick to a couple that I've done before and that I know, because I haven't, with the children all home on lockdown, I haven't had a lot of chance to learn any of the new stuff that I've written.
I don't believe productivity.
So I'm going to start with one I wrote recently. And it all seems like 100 years ago, the way the media moves forward, but this was something that was very big in the media just a couple of months ago before Corona all kicked off, and it's called King of Hearts. Do you believe in fairy tales? I believe that fairy tales are true, to be retold by me and you, with morals within each in turn to help us grow, ensure we learn. Goldilocks is don't be greedy, Robin Hood is help the needy, Three Pigs is be resilient and strong, and Red Riding Hood, looks can be wrong. But my favourite fairy tale of all was of a boy so very small, how tragedy would steal his laughter, but he would find his happy ever after. We have reports from Paris that Princess Diana of Wales has been killed in a car accident. Her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on 2 motorcycles. I remember it, sheer sadness, August 1997. The nation distraught with news reports of a princess called to heaven. Life taken. Instantly, impossible, it couldn't be. We watched her cortege on TV, that smack played back so vividly. Princess of Hearts, we called her, England's hillside she would grace. I won't forget, it's forever etched, her youngest lad's sad face. Just 12 years old, no mum to hold, forget his world, forget his God, he had to rise, be brave and bold. You boys stand tall, do as you're told. Diana died, the nation cried. Young Harry watched it all, as other children his age thought of homework, friends and school. He overheard the conversations, all conflicting explanations, saw the chase, her lose the race. He witnessed the sobbing of our nation. The pitfalls of the limelight, learnt at a tender age. His fairy tale was over, he'd reached his final page. Meanwhile, I'd met my own prince. I was smitten with my lover, and I finally plucked the courage up for him to meet my mother. So we would live together, but trouble would begin. I always was a village girl and we came from Penryn. So we moved to this tiny flat in Penryn town, and that was that. But a new young mum I would soon find, my heart, it yearned for Constantine. Don't get me wrong, Penryn is strong, this age-old town folk get along. I had company and friends and all, and the toddler group at the preschool. I remember how he told her, his recently widowed mum, I love it here, you know that, but 'tis best for everyone. Looked at him straight in her eye. She said, straight in his eye, she said, it's fine with me. You go to where you need to be. You enjoy that handsome family. That young family grew up, as did the prince as well. An American actress would rewrite his fairy tale. She gave a spark to reignite. Diana would say it was right. His next chapter was oh so bright. And the nation came in thousands to watch him wed his bride. Parties had for England's lad, only colourful tears were cried. We watched them start a family, and something familiar to me, a heartfelt plea from her to he to move back home, in her case, over the sea. But now the media step in, his bride, they bloody hate her. Once polished, perfect princess is now branded a dictator. They want to live together for forever overseas, in Kensington or Canada. They're part of our monarchy. Prince William has 3 children now. Harry's sick to the throne. This heart of gold is brave and bold to change the life he's known. Prince Harry's found his princess, and you know what? I can't wait. They walk that aisle now, they will smile and fly in from the States. Piers Morgan, he can spout off, but where's the damn respect? The grandson of our monarch, that small boy, does he forget? Because I don't. Just 12 years old, no mum to hold, forget his wealth, forget his gold. He had to rise, be brave and bold. You boys stand tall, do as you're told. They say it's Meghan's influence. I clearly see another. It's to escape that fucking limelight that so cruelly killed his mother. And I know what she would say, because I've heard it all before. In 1998, from my own mother-in-law. She'd look at him straight in the eye, she'd say, look, it's fine with me. You go to where you need to be. Please remember you're the monarchy, but enjoy that precious family. I believe that fairy tales are true, to be retold by me and you, with morals within each in turn to help us grow, ensure we learn. Goldilocks is don't be greedy, Robin Hood is help the needy, 3 Pigs is be resilient and strong, and Red Riding Hood looks can be wrong. And Prince Harry is our King of Hearts, Canadian hillsides he will grace, as we unveil his fairy tale. Be bold, be brave, and have faith. Thank you.
Oh, that was amazing. Thank you.
Another one? Do you want another one?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I've never used Zoom before, so it's probably really jolted. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing.
Honestly, weird experience, everyone. You're fine.
Okay. Obviously, there's a lot in the media right now about our amazing NHS. So here's something I wrote last year before they were in the press, and they've always been there for us. They've always been amazing. I've had 9 children on the NHS, and great experiences every time. And this is just about something that happened last May. A cloudy Thursday afternoon, a phone call from the school. Our 14-year-old had hurt his wrist, did not look good at all. Before they told me of his wrist, my guess had been disruption. School's phoned home a few times. He's a habit to cause ruptions. My friend was round for coffee. She said, jump in the car. We'll get to him in no time, love. The school's not very far. His worried friend was sat with him, so concerned for his wrist. I hope you're okay, I heard him say as we raced to Trelisk. Triage nurse, great with my son, gentle, softly spoken. You've done a fine job there, she said. That's definitely broken. In A&E, the registrar confirmed he'd be okay. Radiographers explained to him down in X-ray. Before the night was over, they took him for surgery. An amazing anaesthetist sent him off peacefully. Another parent with his son made me a cup of tea. He said, here, love, this'll help. You come and wait with me. A flat cat told a chap downstairs, a smile of elation. The NHS had saved his toes from certain amputation. Before I knew it, that was that. He was off with his sock. His relief immense, these toes it meant, this manky physical. We're lucky here, he told me. I've seen angels exist. I couldn't ask for more, he said. They'll sort your young boy's wrist. The surgeon, he fixed up my son, this awesome, clever man. His wrist was back in its right place, for all had gone to plan. They gave us towels and toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap as well. It felt less like a hospital and more like a hotel. So, all my husband had to do was bring clothes for our stay. He bought me one thing, a swimsuit, for me to wear next day. And then that very morning came, the night shift to an end. I was glad the swimsuit made staff laugh. They treated us like friends. But think about it. It symbolised everything. These people who were helping us, helping my son to swim, from my great friend who took us there to his friend who showed him such care. Triage nurse made us aware, an X-ray who sat him in chair, an anaesthetist none could compare. The daddy cared for my welfare, the old guy who shipped his foot bare, and Fisher was great aftercare. The nurse who said my son's been there, the student nurse is debonair, the surgeon who performed with flair, and of course, a lack of underwear. Like a float for his sinking boat, an important addition from that young lad who cared for him to consultant paediatrician. These buoyancy aids the doctors throw, Olympic swimmers in their flow. That swimsuit symbolised everything. Our NHS, they help us to swim. Thank you. I've got time for one more?
Yes, yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm going to do one that is about Easter, and I've done it so many times, but it just makes me laugh because it sums me and my husband up. And I know most couples that are now, he's been furloughed from work, we're at home together, and I think it's very much a make or break situation, and thankfully it's making us the moment. But there have been a few issues along the way. But anyway, this is about me and him, and it's called Penny Pincher. This penny pinching man of mine, I didn't get his mentality. He's Mr. Minimalistic, and I'm Mrs. Sentimentality. Halloween and Valentine's, he declares them all a waste of time. It's manufactured crap, he whines, this penny pinching man of mine. I'll call him a misery each every anniversary. Admittedly, I find it hard choosing my own birthday card. It's Easter, face full of fear, eyes full of dread. He says, we could all go out instead, this money spent on bloody eggs. Resentful now, I carefully tread. Big families need Easter eggs. I've spent up 50 quid on chocolate manufactured crap. A keeping car, well here's to join 24 chocolate bunnies that my sister's bought, carefully tucked up in the car, so bunny won't be caught. Plans were made, the eggs were laid, that was that, and there they stayed till 19 degrees centigrade, and some bit of weather made. 4 days on chocolate, forgot not eggs at all, now just a slop. Imagine if you can, the strop this penny pinching man I've got. With bated breath, I informed how chocolate warm became malformed. Bunnies and Easter eggs deformed, I knew they'd be painfully warmed. Those fucking bunnies looked like they had myxomatosis. Sunlight got in through foiled skin, the weather gone unnoticed. Some were slain and some remained. It wasn't a fun Easter game, they hardened up, they taste the same. Of course, I had to take the blame. To no room in our fridge at all, it became a chocolate hospital. I'd contemplate and calculate which bunny limbs to amputate. Some resurrected, but as expected, some duly replaced. Next year, I'll ensure there's no waste and pop into the fridge with haste. Halloween and Valentine's, he declares them all a waste of time. It's manufactured crap, he whines, this penny pinching fucking swine. Father's Day was weeks away. What a bloody pantomime. He had malformed, melted chocolate kits, one from each child, so that totaled 9. Thank you. Thank you to Laura, and thank you to everyone that has organised this and for inviting me to come on tonight. It's been a really welcome break from us all being stuck in the house together. Good luck to everyone else. Thank you.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. That was wonderful. Brilliant. So this has been fantastic so far, and I'm sure we're going to carry on much on the same path. So for our headliner for the evening, I'm very excited to hear this lady. She seems to be incredible from what I've heard so far, so I'm ready to have my socks blown off. I will hand us over to the wonderful Tara Montaigne. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Really excited about this. I'm Tara Montaigne. I'm actually not really Cornish, I'm a Londoner in disguise, so I'll just tell you that now. Yeah, well, I've got a few written since the lockdown started, and a whole bunch of other ones as well. I hope you're going to enjoy them. So this one is about social distancing. It's the delicate dance that we perform around each other that brings a tear to my eye. The little acts of caring, like love at a 2-meter distance. She stops around the corner to let me pass. I walk into the road to give him space to breathe freely without fear polluting every waking moment. The bigger acts I cannot see, the nurses and the doctors, the carers, and those making food for people without food. The people working round the clock in labs to identify, understand, and map this pathogen, and all the people still at work so that the rest of us can shelter. And it all makes me cry because unlike the films and series on TV, we do not riot. We don't attack each other out of fear and greed. Instead, we all take on this burden. We queue and wipe and wear a mask and stand apart, and some of us alone. I choose to believe, because it makes me happy, that it's not blind obedience and fear that makes us do this. No, it's love. It's solidarity. It's the only thing we can do, because the only safe pair of hands we can rely on is our own. She stops around the corner to let me pass. I walk into the street to give him space to breathe, knowing that this is a delicate dance of love. Thank you. So this next one is it's a true story. I wrote it about a year ago now. When I got stuck in a hedge, and I nearly got stuck in something much more dangerous. Okay. Recently, I took a wrong path. I was uneasy on the flat. The dog walking couples in uniforms oppressed me. I spotted a hole in the hedge. Mistaking it for one of those paths the children make to the nearest rope spring, I scrambled, sprang and crawled up through the intriguing gap. It seemed like fun awaited, a path hardly ever taken by anyone, and the thrill of being odd, not like the others, I'll admit, always entices. As soon as I emerged, I knew, really, that I'd gone wrong. This was not a path to anywhere. Uncertainly, but thinking I'd find my way, I followed tracks trodden by beasts. They meandered and wandered, appearing and disappearing, skirting a steep slope. I pressed on. I saw the flowers in the field, the beautiful wide sky. The larks sang for me, but I knew I shouldn't be there. I was uneasy on private ground, and shotguns boomed out of sight in the hills around me. On and on I went along until I met a hedge, a barrier that seemed impassable. And so I backtracked, climbed a fence, and gained a thicket pierced by badger sets and trails. I ducked and crawled and pushed the whippy branches aside. But the further I went, the more tangled the way became, with thorns and nettles, brambles and old dead bracken. I had to step very high not to trip and fall. Determined, convinced that I was making progress, I pushed on. I struggled, barbs tearing at my skin, pulling my hair, clutching at my clothes. I pushed and pushed, I sweated and I shed blood. And finally, I was free. But where was I? Back in that same field, with no way out except the way I'd come. Immediately, I decided to chalk it up to experience. I went back down through the hole in the hedge and emerged on the beach with everyone else. I took the shortest route home. Thank you. Yeah, that one. Okay. Right. This next one I wrote today. I haven't really memorized it. I was just struck today by the two different meanings of May Day. Like, it's an international holiday for workers and a day when we remember all the advances that we managed to make in workers' rights. Things like the weekend and the 5-day week and contracts and unions and everything. But it's also an international cry of distress. And so I kind of wanted to combine the two. Cries of distress from all around the world. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is a distress call. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Can anybody hear me? I am trapped indoors with a man who beats me. I'm out on the streets because I can't pay my rent. I'm forced to work in dangerous conditions. I risk my life to deliver your Amazon parcels. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is a distress call. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Can anybody hear me? I have been told to inject myself with bleach. I've been arrested for being outside. My future's been stolen by liars and cheats. My government hates me and wants me gone. I have to walk 200 miles to reach my home. A fire is raging throughout the camp. I don't have any water to wash things safe. I'm losing my mind alone in these four walls. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is a distress call. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Can anybody hear me? My planet is being attacked by ravenous beasts. My brothers and sisters are struggling to breathe. My mother died alone in a care home bed. I've been beaten up for looking Chinese. My fear is being exploited for profit. I'm being pursued for a banker's debt. I'm being mugged for all of my data while I stand and watch people dying around me. From out of this crisis, hear me cry. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Yes, I hear you, sisters and brothers. We cannot go back to the old normal because it was broken. And this virus has magnified all of its flaws. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Let it remind us of what we can do, what we can achieve when we all strive together for a better world. They may take our money, our homes, our jobs, our very lives, but don't let them steal our love, our hope. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is a battle cry. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Can everybody hear me? Right, well, yeah, the passionate cry from the heart there. Right, let me see the next one. This one is a nice gentle one. This one was actually inspired by a workshop that I did with Chris Wright about metaphors, where we had to describe someone just on sort of visual images we had of them. And I wrote this one about my nan, which is something I'd wanted to do for ages, but I think this came out a lot better, less sentimental than if I just sat down and thought about my nan. Anyway, it's called Matriarch. Her eyes are robins, bustling and darting. They can stop a baby crying at 50 paces, embarrass a handsome young man at twice that distance. Her hands, distorted lobster claws, from polishing up all her pride and joy for so many years. Her handbag arms, so strong in taking care of people and taking charge of people. Her 1950s hair and posh Tuesdays in the right company become curlers and abbreviated proverbs, the chink of spoon stirring cup when at home in blue and gold John Lewis splendor. Her heart broke when they made her step down from her high heels. She is outrageous drapey curtains, whiskey and gin, a clutter of objects. She's too much food that wants to be eaten up. She's nosier than cats, cheekier than squirrels, and pulling her skirt to just sew upon her knee to tell you her life stories. Softer than butter, wrapped around a brick. And though the pear's soap and the petal's skin might fool you, she's a whirlwind, confined to an armchair, a storm in a teapot, always ready to pour me a cup. Thank you. How much more time have I got?
About 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes, okay. Right, I want to do a couple more. I'm not sure whether to do another coronavirus one or a different one.
It's entirely up to you. We'll be excited to hear it regardless.
Okay, right, I'm going to do this other one, inspired by another amazing woman in my life, my friend Sonia, who's had breast cancer and the treatment for breast cancer, which was pretty bad. And I so admired her strength in facing it all. I wanted to write something that honoured her and made these sort of battles into something more epic. So Sonia loves comic books. I immediately put together Greek epics, Amazons, and Wonder Woman. And there's a nod to Simon Armitage and his translations of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and that kind of epic poetry as well. So this one is called Wonder Woman. A woman is raging high in the mountains, the straight-hearted daughter of concord and war. She fights for her life and the lives of her sisters. She cut off her breast to shoot her sharp arrows. Her enemy is slippery and hard to take hold of. Again and again as the seasons slip by, with a spear made of ash from her mother's own body, she rides into battle with blood-curdling cries. Her enemy grips her in its crab-like pincers and tumbles her into the dark vale of death. Down in the underworld, cold reigns supremely. Beast it is clamouring, let go of life. Her body so heavy, deadly weight drowning her, she sinks into sorrow as into deep mire. She closes her eyes just for a moment. She's tired, the brave woman fears she may fail. Jolted awake, she has landed in Hades. She opens her eyes and sees clear through her fear. A hard road ahead, but the sole path to victory. She cut off her breast in order to fight. Deep in the darkness, she swallows a poison, the deadliest potion the witches can brew. The grey-hearted daughter of concord and war cannot be conquered by this creeping cancer. Sucking the strength from her bones and her marrow, the creature comes daily to feast on her flesh. It burrows its beak and its tentacles into her. But instead of gaining, it's losing its strength. It's baffled, attacking her more and more fiercely, and now it's weakening, fighting for breath. The monster falls silent. She rolls out from under to gather some strength for the journey back home. Battling the gorgons, the giants and demons, she claws her way free of that moist, clinging earth, and back in the air and the light she lays panting, hoping the hideous creature is vanquished. She returns to us scarred and weary with battle, parts of her missing, parts made more whole. She fights for her life and the lives of her sisters, the true Wonder Woman, the bright burning soul. Thank you very much for that.
Woo!
I'm gonna do one more, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go straight ahead.
Right, this. Yes. I should know this one, but I might not. Anyway, come with me. Oh, I keep drinking this pink stuff to make my hair go this far. On that long journey down from the cold air, where each of us wheeled, tiny, wild, I spied a beautiful crystal of ice shimmering amongst us. And I felt drawn towards her as if by magnets, as if it were love. And so did all of us. We reached out to her, and her chill reached inside of us, froze us. And we were all whirling snowflakes, dancing a gentle waltz, millennia old. Down we drifted, till we reached the gathering places, within the crowd, within the cloud, a spot we reached together, churning and roiling where conditions were right. We began to clump together, first one, then two, and many tiny siblings. We held hands until, bloop, we melted entirely into each other. And all this time, we're spinning, light, roiling inside the cloud, until there were so many of us in every droplet that we gain mass and weight. We fall, and as we go, ploop, more and more we droplets join, and we gain more weight and hurtle faster and faster. And as we go, the air changes, its taste and shape and temperature becomes thicker around us, and we tear through it, leaving tiny shrieking tunnels in our wake. And now our beloved mass begins to slow us. And from this height, the lights, the trees, the moving vehicles and roofs flood up to meet us, closer and closer to your world, your face, your hair, your grimace, your umbrella. And in the final moments, the rush becomes intense, and we smash into your windows, shattering once more, and joining, flowing, falling and rejoining, we slide down into the warm arms of the thirsty, waiting earth. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was
Thank you for having me.
fantastic. Thank you so much. That was really wonderful. Absolutely brilliant show so far. It's been wonderful to hear you all. Some stunning poetry. To bring the show to a round. That's not quite the saying, is it? To bring the show around, is that? Not sure. Well, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on the Cornish poetry scene, and talk about that a little. Connor, could we move to gallery view, please? Connor, can we move to the gallery view, please?
We're on gallery view. You just haven't set your computer to gallery view.
Ah, right. Very sorry, everyone. That is not my strong point. So, yes, lovely. So obviously at the moment there isn't a poetry scene particularly going on. Obviously we're trying to keep that alive, and I'm sure there are people trying to do the same in their areas. But yeah, so we've just got a few questions to get on. So I mean, what do you enjoy most about the poetry events in Cornwall, and were there any that were your particular favourites? Open the floor.
Okay, so I guess the thing for me personally, I enjoy most about the poetry events in Cornwall. I've actually been really lucky. I've had the opportunity to host and also to participate. I think what I enjoy the most is they're super intimate. Like a lot of the event spaces that we have in Cornwall aren't, you know, massive theatres or things like this. They're, you know, they're in cafes, or they're in bar, like the, you know, the top the top room in a bar, or, you know, they're in, you know, weird places like a castle. And I think that's what I love most about them. They're really, really intimate, and because they have that intimacy, you have a real support network, a real community. Like you go to an event and you can be like, oh, you know, Mabel, how's your cat? I know at the last event you said they were sick. It's just, that's, I think for me, what I love most about it is a community feel. Nights in particular I've enjoyed. Well, is it wrong to say I enjoy my own event that I host when I'm in Cornwall?
No,
Can I say that? So I host Symposium, which is in a bar called the Chint Symposium in Falmouth, and I love hosting it because I get a break from poetry for a bit, and I get to meet loads of awesome students at the university in Falmouth, and it's a mix of music and poetry, so I quite like that element. Like you have a bit of music and you have a bit of poems, a bit of music, and so on and so forth. And Sprout Spoken, I mean, if you're down in Cornwall, Tara helps run it. You have to go to Sprout Spoken. I've had the opportunity. I've been there just as open mic. I was being nosy, discovering what it was. I've been there as a feature set, and it's just such a community feel. Like everyone is really passionate and really cares, you know. And if you have a feature set at Sprout Spoken, they give you a free meal.
Oh. I'm sold. I'll have to come down to Cornwall.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Carrie, what are your opinions on the purchasing? Are there any particular events over there that you've really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, Sprout Spoken very much is where I was the first one I went to. Actually, there was a bring your own poetry night at a local pub called the Black Swan that's in Gweek, that's literally a couple of miles up the road. So I've gone along to that, and initially that's where I met Tara and Dickie and people from Sprout Spoken, and they said, oh, come along. So I did, and it's the best thing I've ever done. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. So
oh, fantastic. That sounds like one hell of an event. I imagine Sprout Spoken is going to be up there. It sounds incredible, but certainly one of your favourite events.
Yeah, I don't have to promote it anymore myself now, really, do I? I quite enjoyed it's sort of almost like a regional flavour to different events that you go to. Like some communities seem to write more about their historical connection to the sea, or about their sense of the landscape and the place where they live, and other places in Cornwall it's more social issues, or so I find that quite interesting. And it's one of the nice things about all of our nights connecting with each other, and the extra network that we've sort of grown during the lockdown. This exchange of voices around Cornwall, different moods and things, I think that's really interesting. And I think the audiences are really amazing as well. Like they give you such attention, and very supportive and open-minded. So yeah, really fantastic.
That's lovely. Can you tell us a little bit about what's like to host events down there, particularly Sprout Spoken? I mean, I want to hear lots about this.
Wow. Yeah, it's like just absolutely my favourite thing, really. I feel like so proud that people who are trialing new work, people who've never shared a poem in front of anyone in their lives before, they kind of put their trust in the host of a night to guide them through it, and the audience as well. You know, they trust you to curate the night so that it will be a journey. You know, we can visit all aspects of human life, and but leave feeling uplifted and entertained at the end. You know, so yeah, and the sense of community that just grows up through the magic of spoken word. Its very nature just seems to create that, because it's about truth telling and truth sharing, isn't it? So yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Laura, you have some experience hosting events over in Cornwall. What have you found?
Well, basically, I found that there was a poetry event that was running in Falmouth, and I contacted the bar where the event was running, and they told me that it didn't run anymore because the students graduated, and basically asked me, did I want to set it up again? So I was like, I like a challenge. Okay. So it's a really nice space, actually, the Chintz Symposium. It's like a bar, but it kind of has like you can sit down as well, and it has a piano, and it has a secret room behind a bookcase if you're into that kind of thing. Really awesome venue. It's very intimate, so our capacity is only about 30-40 people absolute max, but like I said, that's really nice because everyone that's there really wants to be there. You know, they want to listen, they want to, and you get the best audience that way because everyone is there for that purpose. And yeah, I mean, that's all I can say, really. I mean, I get there with a list. I get people messaging me before the event for open mic slots. I get there, I fill up my open mic slot list every event. So people obviously seem to like it. Yeah, it's a really good atmosphere. And what's great as well is we kind of have this network between the various people that are hosting various events in Cornwall. We're all in a Facebook group, a private Facebook group together, and we like, you know, bounce ideas off each other, or when we like organize our schedules, we see what events are on when, because obviously being rural, if you have 2 events on the same night, it's not really ideal. So we'll arrange it so that we don't have events that clash. And yeah, we get, you know, wonderful people like Kerry who come to pretty much all the different events down in West Cornwall. We get, you know, people like Tara who host, you know, really, really big events and are really, you know, into the community spirit. And it's just great. We kind of all work together, which is just great, really.
It's wonderful.
That's all I can say.
Spoken word's ability to bring people together, and it's nice to have that community build up. It's quite a big scene in Kent, and I always find it to be so supportive. So it's lovely to hear that is a shared experience in the art. I mean, on that topic, what hopes for the future of the Cornwall poetry scene? Sorry, we'll start with Laura, please. Oh,
okay. I mean, I want to first say I'm sad to see I understand why, but Apples and Snakes Southwest crew for closing because Gina won't be representing the Southwest anymore, which I'm very sad about because that opened up, I think, a lot of opportunities, especially for Devon and Cornwall, because we're so down the end of the country that we get kind of forgotten about quite a lot. And, you know, Apples and Snakes have really done a lot for spoken word down in the Southwest. And I think kind of what I hope to do for the future, because I know all the regional offices of Apples and Snakes are kind of closing, for the Southwest region at least, to try and develop further this kind of, turn the Facebook group into more of a collective, and to really all work together and see if maybe, you know, between like 3 events, we can get bigger names to come down and perform, and then we work out a schedule where they come and perform at all 3 of the events, that kind of thing. Hoping to get Arts Council funding, that sort of thing. I mean, we had Gerald Taylor came down and she was performing in Penzance, you know, which is right down the bottom of England. So if we can get, you know, big names like that, I mean, Sprout Spoken have already had some brilliant performers, and they're just to keep that momentum going and hopefully spread that passion to other events as well in other places in Cornwall.
Lovely. Kerry, I mean, what are your hopes for the future of the scene? Sorry, Kerry, what are your...
Oh, sorry, me. Yeah, no, I've never actually been involved with any kind of organising of events. I'm always a little bit, I'm not a natural organiser, and I'm always a little bit nervous about taking things on because I've got such a large family. If one of the kids could throw up or have a meltdown, something could always pop up. But I would love to host, maybe, you know, eventually host something very close to home here. I have spoken to there's a restaurant called the Potager. My husband works at a lovely inn called the Tringilly. My friend works at the Beaudot Vine Hotel. There's all different places that we'd happily put on a spoken word night once I'm ready and you know, learn from likes of Laura and Tara. I would love to host something.
As a participator, someone who clearly supports all these groups and events through it, is there anything as in that role that you hope for the future?
I just hope it all carries on, because I have been to the Chintz as well, and it's just, you know, it's a night out for me. I just really enjoy it. I really feel that I meet people that are like me, that, you know, that on your, that they're sort of, you just feel a join to them. I don't know what the right word is, but it's just like a really good for your mental health to listen. I don't read books because I don't read very well at all. I can't follow the text. Whether or not I'm dyslexic, I don't know. But to listen to the spoken word, I just find that I gain so much from that. I really enjoy it. So I just hope it all carries on. And yeah, it's great. You know, what Laura and Tara are doing, it's amazing.
That's lovely to hear. And Tara, do you have any particular hopes for the future of Sprout Spoken?
Yeah, I mean, I really echo what Laura was saying about just strengthening their networks and supporting each other in the Southwest. And we've already been making some efforts to try and share a few artists around the place, different venues and stuff like that. And hopefully, when we are all allowed to come together again, we'll grow all of those connections more and more. I think there is a really hungry audience for spoken word down here, and for all kinds of sort of cultural product that we just don't get very much of. So the response to all the events we've done has been amazing. So yeah, definitely creating our own networks in the light of the support that we've lost, and the support that's kind of probably not going to be so forthcoming in the aftermath of this, you know, without so much money washing around. But I'd also really like to develop live streaming of events and stuff. I think that's been a really good lesson of the lockdown, just how much you can do with quite cheap technology or almost no technology at all, to include people that can't be with you in person for whatever reason, you know. So I think that's a really fantastic thing that we've learned out of this. So I'm looking forward to developing that sort of things as well, once we can come back together again, do live events.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It has been a whole different experience, putting things through the internet, through technology. And it has widened our ability so much. I mean, there is certainly something I miss about being on stage and having that audience. Something beautiful about that. But to be able to bring people together from all over the country and all over the world, for that matter, is really something that's quite exciting. So hope to see a lot more of that in poetry events in the future.
Yeah,
I've been to Cornwall a couple of times, not a lot, and it is certainly one of the most beautiful places I think I've ever been. So what's your sort of fave areas in Cornwall? Start with
well, obviously I love Newquay. It's where my heart is. Love the town, love the coastlines, the headlands, the people. Amazing projects like the community orchard that we've got going on are just so uplifting. But my sort of two secret fave places is probably Leren, where you can walk along some woods with incredible bluebells and wild garlic, and then back up this lovely sort of river estuary, just straight out of a Daphne du Maurier novel. And a lovely secret beach down in the far southwest that I'm not even going to say the name of, but it's straight out of a James Bond movie. It's amazing. So hope to be able to get back down there this summer. Yeah,
well, let's hope so. We'll see where it takes us. Kerry, do you have any particular beautiful spots that are your favourite?
I think I'm going to resonate with what Tara said, that your favourite place is always going to be home. And I'm from a village called Constantine that is sort of between Falmouth and Helston, and it's sort of near the Helford River, and it's just a really beautiful little village. We've got a bluebell woods here. I will post some pictures and show Tara, because there's when the bluebells are out, it's absolutely beautiful. And with lockdown at the moment, it's definitely a favourite place. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that's definitely, so Constantine near the Helford River, that's my favourite place. It's home. So
Laura, obviously you're not in Cornwall at the moment, but from the time that you have been there, what about you? Any particular areas that you love?
Well, I was going to say a couple that I already had written down, but Tara and Kerry have actually made me think of another one that I think is better. I was going to say a secret beach down in the far southwest. I wonder after if it's actually the same one. I'm not going to say it, but again, it's one that not many of the tourists know about. So we get to hide down there and we get to surf, which is always very fun. I've got to say St Michael's Mount, really. I mean, I live pretty much right by the beach by St Michael's Mount, so I have to say St Michael's Mount, which is, anyone doesn't know, it's a little island with a castle on top. And yeah, when we're thinking of bluebells, I remember I had such vivid, like a flashback then when Kerry was talking about the bluebells in her village, of my nana's house. And actually there was a walk from my nana's house down to Gelbert's ice cream shop in a little fishing town called Newlyn. And the walk goes through some woods. And as you walk through the woods, there was the most beautiful bluebells. And then of course, you know, at the end of the walk, my nana would buy me ice cream and we'd sit on the beach and eat it. So yeah. I gotta say, walking down through Bluebell Dell to Newlyn.
Okay, lovely. Well, for the moment, everyone stay at home. But once that's all lifted, eventually, as we're all praying that it will be, make note and go and visit these beautiful places, but not at the moment. Stay home, be safe, look after people. Lovely, so brilliant. So we'll just sort of bring it to a close. I would like to go around, if it's all right with everyone, if you can just tell us about any projects that you're currently working on and where we can keep in contact, keep seeing what you guys are up to. Tara, if you wouldn't mind starting.
Yeah, well, I've spent most of the lockdown so far wrestling a novel that I had lying around, unpublished, into shape. So I've just really started writing and even approaching spoken word again quite recently. So that's my main project at the moment, is catching up with a lot of stuff, writing and sharing, and I'll be thinking about, you know, how we approach coming out of lockdown, and like I say, sharing things with people that, you know, will still be in isolation for various reasons. You can come in, you have to go quiet.
Brilliant. And where can we keep up to date with your work?
On Facebook /Taratronic. Following all my various output on there. Or I have a blog at WordPress called A Hard Boiled Egg. So either of those places.
All right, fantastic, brilliant. Kerry, whereabouts can we keep in contact with the work you're doing at the moment, and what are the sort of projects you're working on?
I'm laughing at my children in the cupboards behind. I have just going to be getting a book published by Live It in Helston, which is run by a lovely guy called Terry Lander. He published a book with me in 2010, and he's going to publish a book called Sweet Abode, and the profits from that will be going to the NHS. I've just got lots of spelling corrections and what have you on the computer, and I also want to release exactly the same format, but on a CD, and have a recording of it, because as I say, I enjoy listening to spoken word rather than reading it. So I think because I enjoy that, I guess there must be other people that would appeal to, rather than a book as well. So yeah, and eventually, as I say, to host a spoken word very close event, a spoken word event very, very close to home would be amazing. Okay,
fantastic. And have you got any social media pages or places that we can contact?
I've got my blog, which is on Facebook, called Commotion Information. If anyone wants to follow me, regularly upload other
Okay,
silly
that was
stories.
commotion
And poetry.
and emotion, yeah?
Yeah.
Lovely, brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah.
See that going on behind you right now.
They've been shouting around. They were actually climbing in and out of the window to go in and out to the window, to go through the kitchen to use the back. It's just quite funny, but there we are.
They've done a wonderful job for like the most of it. So
Yeah. Well, that's it now.
more. Laura, where can we keep in contact with the work you're doing at the moment? And have you got any projects that you're currently working on?
So I kind of had a project that was on the back burner that I reignited in quarantine, which is I'm writing a collection of poems about misunderstood females throughout history, to try and give his females where they haven't really had a chance to tell their side of the story. So I'm doing lots of historical research and kind of telling their stories for them, to give them kind of the justice that I feel they deserve. And then when that's finished, in hopefully a year or two, I don't know, I'd like to turn it into a show, so a live theatre show aimed at teenagers, so sort of children from like sort of 9-10 up until about 14-15, so that they can learn about some pivotal females in history is the plan for, yeah. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Laura Blue Kestrel. And I don't have Twitter, but I am on Instagram at Laura Kestrel Poet. No spaces, no underscores, no full stops or anything.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful evening. It's been fantastic, fantastic to see you guys perform. Thank you to everyone at home that's been watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. And just a big thank you to Tara Montaigne, Kerry Vincent, and Laura Kestrel. You've been.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll bring it to an end. So thank you and good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye. Thank you.